The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans. It is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming products at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of our supplies are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code BONO15 and he will save you 15%. I've been using these products for a little over 6 months now, and my beard has never felt healthier. It has never grown faster, and according to my wife, it has never felt softer. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show in Matt Landowski in Sweet Hands Sports. Elevate their game with Sweet Hands Sports. Our sports gloves are designed for champions, providing ultimate grip and durability. Achieve greatness with every match. Choose Sweet Hands Sports for the winning edge. Grip your victory at sweethandsports.com. Use the promo code BONO10 and he will save you 10%. He has sent me a complimentary pair of golf gloves. They are so comfortable, durable, and breathable. You won't find a better pair of gloves out there. Again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company from first responders for first responders. These products are so comfortable. They look great. They have great messages on them. They are provided to support first responders, especially those who worked through COVID. All of the proceeds are going to helping veterans and first responders with their mental and physical health. This is a great cause. I support anything that has to do with our first responders and our veterans. Again, deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono will save you 20%. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I got a great guest for us today. He is brought to us by Tony the Latin Assassin, another MMA fighter. He is actually into the coaching realm of that. We're going to get into all that coming up here. But Billy Freedson joins the show. Billy, thanks for joining, man.
Hey, no problem, Mike. Good to be on with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, Tony actually connected us. So, how do you know the Latin Assassin there? How did that relationship come about?
Well, so I started cross training with a place called Upgraded Industries, and that's actually where I met Tony. They used to do these things every Saturday where it was open sparring. You can go up, you can, basically just get sparring with all the fighters that are around the area. And that's actually where I met Tony the first time. At that time, he was just kind of getting into striking. which is my expertise. I'm more of a Muay Thai, K1 boxer. My ground game's okay. Tony would dominate me there, but luckily we were just doing stand-up sparring. That's when I met Tony. And then about a year later, I actually started coaching the striking program for Upgraded Industries. And then that's when me and Tony really hit it off and started becoming friends. And I worked with him on his striking from then.
I gotcha. How's his striking improved since you've gotten to work with him? I know we talked about it with his show, about how striking was kind of, I don't want to say his weakness because I saw him fight live and it definitely didn't look like it was his weakness, but.
Well, Tony is an amazing grappler. His wrestling career speaks for itself. 3-time state champion wrestler growing up, 1 in Greco, 2 in freestyle. The dude knows how to grapple. His striking was very brutish, if that's the right way to explain it. Very forward. He would take a lot of punishment to give a lot of punishment.
Yeah.
When I first came on, he was very straightforward and he relied on that power. Now Tony's a lot more finesse. His angles are amazing now. He's got much better kicks. It's something you don't see a lot when you go and watch him fight. He mainly uses his hands, but he has very, very underrated kicks. He can flip them up, good body kicks. His knees are great. One of the things he doesn't get to use is his elbows. It's something we've gone over, but amateur MMA, you're not elbowing people, so you don't really get to see that. But the dude is known for his grappling. I think if he ever fought somebody who had grappling on his level, I think he'd still be able to show off a really, really good amount of good striking.
Yeah, I saw him fight live when he won the championship at Mountaineer Casino a couple months back.
Okay, is that the one where he knocked him out?
No, I think he choked him out. It was the it was the final result. But he definitely used his striking to set up his takedowns. Is that something that you're able to coach into, like strikers and grapplers that are, they mainly want to go to the ground? Like, do you coach into that? Like, okay, this punch, this kick will set up for your takedowns.
Yeah, so for grapplers, I really try to use more of a boxing style, a little more forward, something to where you can go to a 1-2, an ankle pick, and you could really translate from putting your hands in their face, getting their chest to rise. When their chest rise, it kind of opens up their legs for easy takedowns. Also, if you're doing striking into Muay Thai, you can grab the clinch, and Greco-Roman kind of takes over from there. Honestly, the basic strikes to set up takedowns, using your jab to set up your right hand to an ankle pick, using a 1-2, kind of a spearing jab to body lock, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a black belt in Taekwondo, and they brought in for about a month a jiu-jitsu specialist to kind of try to get us a little bit more of the background on the ground game, with Taekwondo being more of a defensive karate style. It helped. I learned very quickly with my height and my weight and being as lanky as I am. Ground was very formidable for me. Just I could get my legs around him in a guard and, really lock in body locks with how long my legs actually are, going for triangles, stuff like that. But I'm very easily to take down because I'm 6'5", and so I'm very tall. So yeah. I leave a lot of my lower body open because of that.
Well, and then go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, and I just get taken down. So I had to learn very quickly, very defensive strategies on the ground and transitions.
And, and that's the hard part. You have a Taekwondo black belt. One of the schools I learned Muay Thai and K1 kickboxing, it was a Taekwondo school.
Yeah.
Vanios in Brunswick.
Okay.
But I don't know where you were at, but
I was back in Steubenville, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. As you know, throwing kicks on somebody who wants to take you down, not the best idea.
Yeah.
It gives them easy takedowns. So, disguising kicks with your hands and chopping more legs really, really helps with really good grapplers. Guys like Tony, if I kick his body or try to attempt a head kick, he's just going to dump me. It's not fair.
Yeah.
That's Taekwondo's got some really good kicks, and it's something I use because that's where I came from, was a Taekwondo school.
Right.
I never got belted, but when he showed his Muay Thai kicks, it was more of a Taekwondo finesse style.
Yeah.
So a lot of spinning kicks, axe kicks, jump double kicks, things like that. That if you're not set up properly, you try to throw them to a body, a wrestler or grappler is just going to take you right down.
Yeah, and we had a couple guys in my class that were wrestlers, and that we were. I was a teenager, so in high school and junior high, and I learned very quickly when we went full live sparring with jiu-jitsu and taekwondo that I was just getting taken down because I'm all legs that for my height, so like I use my kicks a lot for distance to try to protect myself, because with my striking, I'm kind of like Tony in that sense. And I was a brute. I'd always move forward and I'd eat a lot of shots to get the shots that I wanted. Right. And I was on my back a lot of the time in that jiu-jitsu class. But it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of transitions. They helped me out with that a good bit. And it was fun. I liked it. I know I probably should have pursued it a little bit more, according to what everybody has told me. But you don't get into comedy because you're good at anything else.
Yeah, that's fair.
But do you have anything outside of like coaching in the combat sports space that you do, or is combat sports kind of all it is for you?
Well, so I own a plumbing company, so that's my morning job, and then I end up coaching and doing personal training the rest of the day. So pretty much from 6 a.m. in the morning till 8:30, 8 at night, I'm doing something. I'm moving. I did some stunt work, some acting stuff that was really cool. With Johnny Woo, a local guy here in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He got me into stunts, and I was doing that, and then I didn't realize he was the producer. I was bullshitting with him, and then he started giving me lines and things like that. Never done anything like that before. Dude was really cool. Got to do a lot of cool stunts, meet a lot of cool people. That's actually the person I met who brought me to Upgraded was through that. So, it was really cool. I made a lot of good connections, and then I mostly kind of live the sport of Muay Thai at this point. I just got back from Thailand. I was there for 6.5 weeks, and all I did was train. It was great. And I just was happy to come back and start using some new tricks and teaching some new tricks.
Yeah, I would say, has that helped with your fighters? Have you seen any of that or with the fighters that you do coach from what you learned in Thailand?
Yeah, I mean, so Thailand doesn't really use, well, at the gym I was at in Thailand, I should say, not a lot of punches. It was more about the clinch work, the elbows, the knees, and the kicks, which, if I'm being honest, I think because we have boxing coaches as well, not just me. We have Luke Freshour, who's Golden Gloves champion, Justin. I forget his last name. I apologize, Justin, but he's been around the block as well. So we have, 2 boxing coaches, and then me, the Muay Thai coach. So we're more dominantly a boxing style with kicks, but we're definitely getting better at the clinch, and we're definitely getting better at setting up the kicks from the boxing. Yeah.
Combat sports has always fascinated me. I love it. I watch the UFC every Saturday for their fight nights. Love it. It was funny when I met my wife. We moved in together. I can't even remember what it was. I was watching like an old classic UFC. It was just something that was on the TV on a weekend. My wife was in making dinner, and then she came in. She was like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "Oh, it's the UFC." She's like, "Well, what is that?" I was like, "It's mixed martial arts, but it's basically a big cage street fight. They lock 2 brutal human beings into a cage and say, have it out for 3 rounds." And it was a brutal striking fight. The guys were both just bloodied up and just still throwing haymakers in the middle of the octagon. And I felt her sitting down next to me, and now she looks forward to Saturdays and say, "Hey, is it fight night? When are the fights on?" Like she looks forward to those fights and watching those. Like it's become a weekend tradition for us to have fight night Saturdays, and getting people. I know it's gotten bigger because of the UFC and Dana White and everything that he's done for mixed martial arts. But do you notice that a lot with there's still not a lot of people that know about the combat sports realm and, just how entertaining it can actually be?
It's hard for me because I'm surrounded by it. So
Right.
most of the people I deal with are into some kind of combat sport, whether it's boxing, whether it's K1, Muay Thai, whether it's MMA. Most of the people I'm surrounded by are obsessed with some kind of combat sport, which is great for me because I'm one of those people too. But when I am out and about, or I'm at, I do plumbing and I'm doing that, and people ask, oh, you look like you're in good shape, you work out, things like that. I always say I do Muay Thai. I don't say I lift or anything like that.
Right.
And they're always fascinated by it. So I guess in like every day-to-day things, those people, I guess, don't notice it. But because I'm surrounded by so many competitors and people who love the sport, it's hard for me to say that they don't see it,
No, yeah, I got you. And you're originally from the Cleveland area. Is that
Yes,
where
sir.
you grew up? And, tell everyone a little bit more about yourself, I guess, where you grew up and, schooling and all that.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town called Columbia Station. It's between Elyria and Strongsville. My graduating class was 74 people. So it was a pretty
Wow.
small class. Yeah. We knew everybody first and last name, where they lived. I mean, it was not very cliquey, which was cool. Um, and I'm a small guy. You're 6'5". I am a foot shorter than you. I am 5'5" on a good day with my shoes on. Um, um, but so I like to say I had Napoleon syndrome. I was always like ready to fight. I was angry. I had an older brother who's a half brother, and he is 6 foot 220. So
Okay.
used to beat the crap out of me. It was great. So I got into when I saw MMA, I was like, oh, that'd be cool. We started doing it in my backyard. Yeah, my dad would leave to go camping on the weekends, and I would have basically fight parties. I mean, we'd have people just come over. We would throw the crappy MMA, UFC gloves on. They're all tore up, and we would beat the shit out of each other. There was no time limit. We would just go till someone quit. You'd fight a couple times, or you'd fight, once. It just depended on what you wanted to do. People would call you out, you'd fight. And I thought that was cool. But then, I was like, it's one thing to fight in a backyard with a bunch of random people watching against another guy who can't fight. But, fighting in the cage, I thought would be cool. I went to one event and I was like, yeah, I could definitely do that. I was so wrong. I got my ass handed to me. My first fight, Clint Musselman. The dude was a tank. He went on to fight for a bunch of titles. Dude was super strong, fast, really good striking. I wrestled in high school, and, that didn't help as much as I thought it was going to. I lost my first 3 fights. I fought Cody Garbrandt. I fought Garbrandt for Dan Bobish had a promotion in Parma. Was it Parma or it was Brook Park? Brook Park.
Okay.
And Garbrandt's guy had backed out or got hurt. My guy had backed out or got hurt. And they said, oh, do you want to fight this guy? He's a boxer. And I was a wrestler thinking, oh, I'm just going to take him down. So I said yes, only to find out that Cody is a phenomenal wrestler as well.
Yeah.
And then he dominated. I mean, he knocked me out in the first round. It sucked. I shouldn't have been fighting. I didn't have the right coaching. I was at a small little karate gym, didn't have the right training going in there. I just had a mentality, and that mentality just wasn't enough. So from there, I went to Vanyo's in Strongsville, Brook Park, and he was known as a kickboxing gym. He would not let me fight for at least a year. That was the deal. At least not sanctioned. So I don't know. Have you ever heard of smokers?
Yeah.
Okay. So smokers were a big deal when I was coming up, and that was about 10 to 13 years ago. And I would do a smoker after the first maybe 6 months. He started getting me smokers, and I would do a smoker once a month at least. And I did really well in smokers. And once I got, going and put a string of wins together, he got me a sanctioned fight. And I went back to MMA, where I went 3-0 at 135. And And then I lost my last fight, MMA fight, because I dropped down to 125 and the weight cut was just too much for me. And I have gassed now. It sucked. I have some issues with that fight in general. I thought the guy tapped and I let go. Dumb on my part. You never let go. You wait till the ref stops it. You know, that's kind of a young mistake. Had a couple sanctioned kickboxing events. Went 1-1 in sanctioned kickboxing. I fought Nikolai Galanti, who was ranked number 1 in the state when we fought. I went all 3 rounds with him, lost a 2-1 decision. After that, I really kind of looked in the mirror and I was reflecting like, hey, do I still want to do this? I love the sport and I love, training and I love all that, but I just didn't know if competing anymore was right for me. So I really buckled down on technique and started learning different styles. I did judo for a while. I've done jiu-jitsu. I've wrestled. I did Kali, Filipino knife fighting, boxing, Muay Thai, K1. I mean, I've done all these different styles just to, see what works for me. But it all helped with footwork and it helped with angles and it helped with all this stuff. And then I found that I really enjoyed coaching. So I coached for Vanyo for a few years. After I stopped fighting, I was going to give it up, but then DJ, the owner of Upgraded Industries, hit me up. And that's really when, I was like, hey, I'm 100% coaching. I love coaching. I love, showing people new techniques and seeing their face light up when they understand it, and making, these guys great. It sucks. I don't have the resume a lot of these fighters have. When you're talking about Tony, he's got 4 MMA titles, easily could have went pro and probably dominated as a pro. Anthony Perzoli you had on as well. He's a kickboxer at Upgraded Industries, worked with him. He's undefeated. He's got a title. Chris Draghi, I don't know if you've had him on. He's another phenomenal fighter out of Upgraded. He's 4-1, holds a heavyweight title. Ron, I can't say Ron's last name. He's the Cuban Missile Crisis guy. He's a big Cuban kid who anytime he touches you with either hand, he can knock you out. So it's been really cool to work with those guys. You got a lot of young and up and coming guys coming up for boxing as well. But yeah, that's where I'm at now, man. That's from the start to where I'm at now. It's cool to see the development of other people, and that's what I enjoy doing. I don't know if I'll ever fight again. I get the itch sometimes, but I don't want to lose weight. So, that's the hardest part is the losing weight.
I was the cutting of the weight. I just never really understood. I guess I never wrestled or anything like that. So, just the weight cut, like me, for how I am mentally, I would just want to fight at the weight that I walk around at. You know what I mean? Like that would be for me. I understand that, with weight classes, you might have to cut a couple pounds here, but you've seen these guys losing like 20, 30 pounds to get I don't understand how they do that. And I know they're not fighting at that weight when they get into the ring, obviously, because that is the biggest point of contention for my wife and I when watching the UFC, like seeing these guys like 155 pounds. It's like, dude, I'm 220 and you're bigger than me right now. Like, there's no way you're fighting at 155 right now. I never got it. The weight cuts, but that's just how I am, me mentally. And, now that I've actually put on some weight since I've gotten older, because I graduated high school 6'5", 155 pounds. So I was very skinny, lanky, just long. But I was also a swimmer too as well. So didn't want to bulk up too much, playing football and that, because swimming was my main sport. But yeah, it's again, now, a husband, dad, I'm up to 220 pounds, since I'm getting
but
life.
At 6'5", though, I mean,
I don't look bad, No.
And you don't need to cut weight. You're a naturally taller guy. Now I'm at 5'5". I can't fight what I weigh, which is I weigh 185 right now. I'd get mauled at 185. Right. If I was going to fight, I'd have to go down to 55 just because I'm so short. I mean, I could always be, short and bulky. That's fine. But even at 55, you look at the pro 155ers when they fight, they look like they're 185ers.
Yeah.
So, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's my point. I mean, you see like the shorter fighters are normally in those lower weight classes. And when you get to like 155 and up, everybody's 6 foot and above from what I've seen, especially in the pro rankings. Like, it's just like, okay, there's a lot of tall dudes with some weight on them. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I loved it when I was, in Taekwondo, did a lot of sparring tournaments back, as a teenager. Only lost once. Oddly enough, it was to a person that was in the same gym as me. And I hate to say it, but she knocked me out.
Wow.
Yeah. Everybody loves this story, but we were riding up to the venue together, and I was like, look, if it comes down to it, we've looked at it. We're the top 2 ranked people at this tournament. Like, we're going to end up on opposite sides of the bracket. If it comes down that we have to fight each other, we're not going to hit each other hard. We're going to, we'll let it go down to the cards. Whoever wins, the trophy's going to come back to our gym anyways, regardless. Well, as fate had it, we ended up in the championship round together, fighting each other. I may have tagged her a little harder than I thought I did. And as a fighter, you'll know this. Do you ever see the blinders come on somebody? Like, they just like hyper focus in on you.
Yep, they lock in.
She locked in, and I was like, oh, she's putting on a show, because we'd already talked about this. So I let my guard down a little bit. Next thing I know, her foot was on the side of my face. And I'm waking up to 5 people standing above me. That was that's all I remember from it. And from what they've told me, like, I'm 6'5", she was maybe like your height, 5'5", 5'6" at that point. They said her one foot never left the ground, and she got her other foot up and caught it right on the button, right on the jaw. Next thing I know, there's 5 people standing above me, and I'm waking up not knowing what the hell just happened. Like,
it's brutal.
Oh, it was brutal. She was an assassin. She was tough as nails. One of those chicks that you see like fighting in the MMA. It's like, yeah, I'd probably run from you in a dark alley. Like, you look tough as nails. Like, she was one of them. And yeah, I probably had like 30 fights counting that one. And I was like 29-1. That one still kind of bothers me because it was my own fault. But,
right.
Brutal woman. But yeah, the sad thing is to me is that, I have 1 KO against myself, and it was a woman that knocked me out. But it is what it is. It's the fight game in Taekwondo. There's no like back then. It wasn't the late 90s, early 2000s. There wasn't really like at those gyms like, all right, males are fighting males and females are fighting females. It was you're in Taekwondo. You're gonna catch some shots.
I mean, that's how we do it at our gym too, is like the female fighters, we have multiple female fighters, and they work in with the guys, they spar with the guys. Yeah, I would hope the guys would take it easy, but I mean, I have seen some of the guys turn it up a little bit, because the girls hit a lot harder than they realize they do.
Yeah.
We have a girl kickboxer, Chase. She's newer. She's 1-0 as a Muay Thai fighter for us.
Nice.
But she hit me with a 1-2, and I have a picture of it. My head is snapped back, and you could see the sweat flying off. I can't let my guard down against her, because that shit hurts, man. It's like getting hit by a guy. She hits a lot harder than she thinks she does. And you're like, I don't want to hit you hard back, but I'm definitely going to cover and at least hit you hard to the body, so you'll leave me alone.
Right. Yeah, but you know what? Look at Amanda Nunes. She only sparred and trained with men. She was a 2-division champion and was fighting in both weight classes and defending both titles. Like, that was impressive to me. Like, Nunes was just like, she was a beast. When she was fighting, and I think it helps the women fighters that they train with the men. And yeah, I don't think it can hinder them at all. But I mean, yeah, they definitely hit a lot harder than you think they do.
Yeah, I think because they're smaller, they think they're not going to hit as hard. But as a guy, training with them, I still need to practice good guard, and I can't dick around my hands down because you get clipped, and all of a sudden you're not happy about it. But as far as like the girls training with the guys, I think it's a good thing to a point. I like when people can work with somebody roughly their size and their power. So, like when I fought, I'd be training with guys that are 155 and I'd, fight down a couple weight classes at 135, 125, whatever it was. I think the girls can do that too. I think it's an unfair, like Tony's, walking around 200 pounds at least.
Yeah.
When he trains, jiu-jitsu and the MMA with Holly, one of our female fighters who's 1-0, she can't take him down. She can't work her jiu-jitsu because he's bigger, he's stronger. She needs somebody roughly more her size. It could be a guy, but it'd be a lot nicer if it was a girl because then you get the strength similar, you get other things that are similar, and it's a more realistic look. Speaking of which, Upgraded Industries, we have a all-female sparring day coming up. So, if you're a female fighter, striking, grappling, all of it, that's 2 Sundays from now, which I believe is May 4th. You have to go to Upgraded Industries, the Instagram page. We have it posted up there, but it's an all-female training day. It's a Sunday. Come up, get sparring, get rolls, get all that. So it's all the females, local fighters, all in this area coming up. There'll be guys there, whether that they're going to be training on their own or the coaches. I will be there. We may have our boxing coach there, one of our jiu-jitsu instructors there. Yeah, we're going to have a bunch of people there. This way the women can come in and they can work with, other women.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely put that in the description of this episode for sure to help you guys out. Yeah, I would love to see that for sure. That sounds like an amazing opportunity for them. Definitely everyone go and check that out at Upgraded Industries. One thing I want to talk about too as well, and this is going to be a fun conversation about this, but and I hate talking about this guy, but Jake Paul just announced that he is fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in June in California. As someone in an MMA training space, what do you think about Jake Paul's boxing abilities and just him as a fighter?
Well, first off, I'm not a fan, but with that being said, I think what he did was smart. The way he created the buzz around it was very smart. Also very smart to go against people who couldn't box to start. I think Jake himself is a high-level amateur boxer. I think he's got good amateur boxing. I don't think he's at that level where he can compete with the real pros in his weight class. He's got power. He looks like he does hit pretty hard. He throws his weight around. But he throws a lot of looping stuff. If you go and just watch any of his fights, it's usually kind of big haymaker style punches.
Yeah.
I honestly think if he was an amateur fighter, he'd be a decent, high level amateur. He'd have a good amount of wins, couple losses. I think he's actually a fairly decently trained boxer. He actually started at a place called Hooligans in Elyria, which I went there to kind of, I was between gyms and I just needed a place to train. And they had a picture of him up because he had started boxing when he was younger. I don't know if he stopped, continued, whatever the case is. But yeah, I think he's smart. He's a smart dude. He's made money by kind of being a jackass. You're being a loudmouth. You're creating buzz. I get it. I hope that that's not his real personality. I hope that's just like stage personality. But yeah, as far as his actual athletic ability, the dude's athletic. I think he does hit really hard. But he loops a lot of his shots. I think his boxing has come a long way since if you go and watch his first fight against whoever he fought, Speed. I don't know, some YouTube guy. But I think his ability itself has come a long way. And I think, he's at that point where, he has to start fighting legitimate boxers to prove himself. The dude himself, his boxing is, though. I think it's decent.
Yeah, I watched a couple of his fights. I watched the Tyson fight. And everything
I
in
think
me. That was fixed. It's a fixed fight. You can see it in the early rounds when Tyson wanted to throw a shot and he stopped himself. He had the clear opening. He had the clear shot for his left hook, his knockout punch, and he stopped himself.
Yeah,
and
there was a couple times you watch it. He does that. He throw. You see it loop over and he just kind of pulls it.
Right, and the biting of the glove. I know he did that later on in his career, but a lot more in this fight. And that dude's in his 50s. I understand, and like, all right, Jake, you're in your 20s and you're fighting 50-year-olds. For me to consider him a legit boxer, and I know, like you said, if he came up through the amateur ranks, like most people and like everyone, I'd have a little bit more respect for him as a boxer. But he's not fighting any real boxers.
Right.
He was boxing YouTube stars, celebrities, MMA guys that were grapplers, and then Tyson. It's just like, okay, Chavez, I'm interested to see that fight for sure.
I think he'll do well. I am interested in their contracts. I don't know, because I really do think that Tyson threw that fight.
100%.
I'm really surprised he would, but just watching that fight drives me nuts because you see the overhand right coming, he just pulls it a couple times, he stops himself where big shots definitely could have landed. And, if you watch young Tyson, he's thrown that with reckless abandon. But as far as the Chavez fight, I mean, Jake will probably do all right. He'll do like he did against Fury. He'll do okay, but as the rounds progress, Chavez is going to start to take over, and he's really going to just he'll dominate in the second, third. I don't know how many rounds it's going to go, if it's a 10 round, whatever it is, but I think a lot more people would have respect for Jake Paul if he did do the amateur ranks, though. If he did like Golden Gloves and came up the way.
Yeah, I mean, you were a YouTuber that wanted to get back into boxing because you started as a kid, and it's fine if you want to get back into it, do it the right way. That's my whole hang up with him. As somebody who loves combat sports, I've watched Garbrandt. He came from near my hometown, coming up through the ranks and becoming a champion. People like that, I like watching that. Blake Perry fought out of Cleveland. Follow him. I've had him on the show. Oh my God. Taysern. I can't think of his wrong turn. Taysern. I can't think of his first name. I don't know why. Fighting out of Cleveland. MMA guy getting his pro starts, fighting on UFC Fight Pass a lot now. I like seeing that progress. And doing it the right way. I root for those guys a lot more.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Alonzo Turner?
The name, I haven't seen any of his fights.
Okay, so Lonzo he came up through the amateur ranks, local guy. He cross trains with us a lot. I mean, the dude, his nickname is Relentless, Alonzo Relentless Turner. I think he's 7-1 as a pro now, and I mean, he's pretty much dominated every fight he's had, and I'm pretty sure his one loss was a 3-round decision loss. But the dude is strong. He's fast, good striking, good wrestling. Yeah, I mean, if you get a chance, man, Lonzo, go watch some of his fights. Yeah. Super tough fighter. Him and Tony I've seen them go in the gym together, and him and Tony would go back and forth. And Lonzo, most of the time, would kind of edge him out. When it came to like striking, then Tony would edge him out a little on the wrestling, and they'd go back and forth. It was always fun to watch. So another really good local pro who came up from the area, worked his way up through the amateurs, got titles, and then went on to be a really good pro.
Yeah, see, and I love that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to check out some of his fights for sure. And I always root for the local guys. You got to almost. But Billy, we are running down here near the end of the episode here. But I do want to get this last segment in. And it's everybody's favorite segment here, and it is the Fast Fitty 5. It is 5 random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone. They have nothing to do, basically, with what we've been talking about for the last half hour. They're kind of rapid fire, but you can elaborate if you need to.
Okay. I'll do my best.
Yeah, no, it's a fun way we like to end the episode, and it gets everyone a taste into the mind of Johnny Fitty Falcone. But if you're ready, we'll get started.
Let's get it.
All right. Question number 1. What's the worst day to do laundry?
Monday.
Yeah, that's safe bet on that
Start
one.
The week.
Start the week. Yeah, can't be doing that. Yeah. Question number 2. Which is the least intimidating nickname? Being called Fluffy or the quiet one?
Fluffy. Quiet ones are scary. I'll go Fluffy.
Quiet ones for sure. Question number 3. If you could have either $1 million but no longer speak for the rest of your life, or $20 million but you have to be alone for the rest of your life, which would you pick?
Oh, that sounds terrible either way. I'm gonna go with the $1 million and not speak, because I can still text. I can still text, right?
Yeah, he doesn't elaborate on that. This is
all right. Well, then I guess I'm a mute, and I'll take my $1 million and just text everybody.
That's not a bad. Yeah, that's not a bad option. Question number 4. One word to describe George Clooney is
sexy.
It's not. Can't argue with that one. That's Silver Fox himself, Clooney.
He's a good-looking fella. Good for him.
Absolutely. Last question here: is the YMCA or the Electric Slide a better wedding dance song?
Ooh, I'm gonna go Electric Slide.
Yeah. I have to go with that one just for that. But that was the Fast 55. I think he took it easy on you a little bit, but
I think he did. That wasn't too bad.
A lot of his questions, and he asked me these on a daily basis. I've known Johnny since college, and he comes up with the most random questions possible, and it's just how his mind works. It's just like what he thinks about all day in his free time, and like a couple of them are like, okay, it's you, a bear, Conor McGregor, and you're locked in a racquetball court, and you have a stick of dynamite and boxing glove. Who comes out alive? Like, that's kind of like some of the things that he comes up with. Like, it's just, so we figured it was a fun way to end the episode for everybody here. But Billy, I do give everybody this opportunity at the end of every episode. If there's anything you want to get out there for your gym, any fights you got for your fighters that you're training coming up, anything like that, or even if it's just a good message, I'm going to give you about a minute, and the floor is yours.
All right. Thanks, man. So Upgraded Industries is where we're out of. Anyone can come up and train. We have classes, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, 6 days a week. We always have a lot of good amateur fighters coming in and training with us. We always have amateurs fighting. Chris, the Grit Draghi, is going to be fighting for a title here soon. Another title here soon. Ron, Cuban Missile Crisis, will be fighting for a title soon as well. Got a couple up and coming guys. Logan Morales, a really good young boxer who hasn't had the opportunity to fight yet. We're still looking for a fight. So junior division, if any local promoters want to hit us up for that, that'd be great. Otherwise, man, we're here to train. Upgraded Industries, we pretty much got everything. Really would love to see more and more people come and train with us. Even if it's just cross training with us, it's a really good gym, great facility, great people. Just get everybody out here training with us. Help us, help you. I think as a community, if we come together and train together, we're going to be able to kind of take over the sport. I really do. Like, a lot of good MMA fighters out of the Cleveland area. And I'd like to do the whole Cleveland against the world thing. So if we pull together, train together, I really think you'll see a lot more Cleveland natives in the UFC, high level kickboxing, like one championship, even bare knuckle boxing, man. A lot of good talent around the area. I'd love to, train with those guys.
Absolutely. Everybody go and check them out. I follow them on Instagram. I've had a lot of their fighters from Upgraded Industries on the show. Sounds like and looks like a phenomenal gym. Definitely go and check them out. They have a lot of great fighters there and a great coach here that we have on the show here. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I want to thank my guest, Billy Freedson, for joining the show. A lot of fun to get to talk combat sports. I always love talking to fighters and everything like that on the show. Really great to have you on. Thank you. Everybody go check out Upgraded Industries there in Cleveland, Ohio. But as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Dubby Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rocket on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.